The phone rang at midnight, sharp and piercing, waking Emily from a restless dream. She reached for it, expecting her husband's voice, but instead heard a woman whisper, "He's not at the reunion, he's here with us." Emily's heart slammed against her ribs. She said, "Who is this?" But the call ended with silence. Her hands shook as she glanced at the dark side of the bed where Michael should have been. He had left earlier that evening, suitcase in hand, smiling as he said, "Just a weekend with the guys." Now, Emily felt the walls close in, her breath short. She whispered to herself, "This can't be real." A cold wave of betrayal washed over her. The house seemed suddenly unfamiliar, shadows stretching long. Her mind raced. Was this some sick prank? Or the unraveling of her entire marriage? Tears blurred her eyes, but rage pushed against her chest. She dialed his number, no answer. She said aloud, "Michael, what have you done?" The silence answered back, heavier than any scream. Emily sat frozen on the edge of the bed, the house so silent it seemed to breathe with her fear. She replayed the whisper in her head, each word cutting deeper. She said, "Not at the reunion, here with us." It made no sense. She remembered Michael's laugh at dinner, his warm hand on hers as he promised, "It'll just be 2 nights, nothing big." She wanted to believe him. The whisperer's voice, soft but steady, carried a certainty Emily could not ignore. She stood, walked to the dresser, and touched his cologne bottle, its scent already fading. She muttered, "Why would she say that unless it's true?" The truth clawed at her, yet denial pulled harder. She dialed again, no answer. She whispered, "Please pick up, please." The phone stayed silent. The longer she stared at the dark, the more she felt her world cracking. Emily walked downstairs, each step echoing like a drum beat in the empty house. The living room smelled faintly of last night's dinner. She remembered Michael pouring her wine, telling her he'd call every night. She said, "You swore." Her hand brushed over the sofa where they sat together, laughing just hours before. Now the silence felt cruel, mocking her memory. She looked at the clock again. Midnight stretched into forever. She thought of calling her best friend Rachel, but shame kept her quiet. She didn't want anyone to know her husband might be a liar. She clenched her fists and whispered, "I'm not crazy. Something's wrong." Emily drifted into the kitchen, the tile cold under her bare feet. The refrigerator hummed loudly, the only sound breaking the silence. She poured water into a glass, but her hands shook, spilling across the counter. She said, "Get a grip, Emily." But her thoughts betrayed her. What if the call was real? She remembered Michael hugging her before leaving, whispering, "I'll miss you." She slammed the glass down, water splashing. She whispered fiercely, "Then why does it feel like you were already gone?" The house seemed alive with secrets, every shadow a witness. Emily returned to the bedroom, staring at her phone as if willing it to ring. She whispered, "Call me back." Memories of their wedding, their vows surged unbidden. She felt a rage rising, sharp and bitter. "If you're lying to me, Michael," she said, "I'll find out." She curled beneath the sheets, body tense, eyes wide open. The whisper's echo haunted her. "He's here with us." It played on repeat until exhaustion dragged her into uneasy sleep. The morning light poured through the blinds, but Emily's heart felt darker than the night before. She forced herself out of bed, her eyes raw from little sleep. She picked up Michael's shirt from the chair and pressed it to her face, inhaling his scent like a prayer. She whispered, "You wouldn't do this to me." Yet the whisper from last night replayed relentlessly, taunting her sanity. She opened her phone, scrolling through his recent messages. Nothing unusual, nothing suspicious. Too clean, she thought. He's hiding it better than I imagined. Her hands shook as she tapped on the bank app, then froze. A transaction appeared, hotel charges in a neighboring city. Her breath caught, chest tightening. She muttered, "That's not the reunion spot." Anger flared. He lied. She slammed the phone down, whispering, "Why, Michael?" Her reflection in the mirror looked like a stranger. Haunted eyes, pale face, lips trembling. The world she built with him suddenly felt fragile, ready to shatter. Emily sat at the kitchen table with untouched coffee cooling in front of her. She scrolled back through photos from last night's dinner, her smile wide, Michael's arm around her shoulders. She whispered, "This is who we are." But doubt whispered louder. She tapped open his social media, searching for signs. Nothing. Only pictures with colleagues, staged smiles, old college friends. She clenched her jaw. She remembered how he looked away when she asked about the reunion. Too fast, too rehearsed. She replayed his exact words. "It'll be the same crew, we're just catching up." Her stomach churned. She whispered, "Who are you really catching up with?" The coffee had gone cold, but her hands wrapped around the mug for warmth. She fought back tears, fury bubbling inside her. She thought, am I being paranoid? Or am I finally seeing the truth? By noon, Emily forced herself to run errands, desperate for distraction. At the grocery store, she bumped into Sarah, an old acquaintance with a knowing smile. Sarah said, "So Michael's away this weekend. Must be nice having the house to yourself." Emily froze, throat dry. She asked carefully, "How did you know?" Sarah shrugged casually. "He mentioned it at the cafe last week. He said he might stay longer than usual." The words struck like a knife. Longer? That wasn't what Michael told her. Emily forced a smile, muttered, "Oh yes, just a reunion." But inside, rage boiled. Sarah chatted on, oblivious to the wound she opened. Emily clutched her basket tighter, pulse hammering. As Sarah waved goodbye, Emily whispered under her breath, "What else have you told her, Michael?" Her face burned with betrayal as she left the store. Driving home, Emily gripped the wheel so tightly, her knuckles whitened. The road blurred as her mind replayed Sarah's words. She muttered, "Longer than usual." The betrayal felt sharper by the minute. At a red light, she glanced at her phone, tempted to call Michael again, but fear stopped her. If he answered, he'd lie. If he didn't, it would prove everything. Her stomach churned. She whispered, "I need proof." The light turned green, and she drove past the exit that led home. Instead, she steered toward the highway, toward the hotel listed on his bank charge. Her chest tightened with dread and anticipation. She thought, "If I see him there, it's over." Each mile dragged heavier than the last. She whispered, "Please don't be there." But deep down she knew. Emily pulled into the hotel parking lot, her pulse pounding so loud it drowned the hum of traffic. Rows of cars stretched before her, ordinary yet ominous. She whispered, "Just a coincidence." Her eyes scanned the lot until they landed on his car. Michael's sedan at nine. Her chest collapsed, breath stolen. She gripped the wheel tighter, whispering, "You liar." She wanted to storm inside, but fear rooted her in place. What would she find? Another woman? Another family? She closed her eyes, tears slipping free, whispering, "God, give me strength." The car key trembled in her hand as she shut off the engine. The truth was waiting inside, heavy and merciless. Emily sat in her car outside the hotel, her chest heaving when the vibration of her phone startled her. Michael's name lit the screen. She answered, trying to steady her voice. Michael said, "Hey, how's everything? You okay?" His tone was calm, casual, like nothing was wrong. Emily's voice cracked. "Where are you, Michael?" He paused, then chuckled softly. "I told you, the reunion. Why do I sound drunk?" Her stomach twisted. She whispered, "I saw your car." His voice sharpened. "Emily, don't do this. You're imagining things. You're paranoid." Rage pricked her skin. She said, "Don't call me paranoid. I know what I saw." Michael sighed heavily, lowering his voice into the soft charm she once trusted. "Baby, please, you've been stressed. Don't let your mind run away with you. I love you. I'll be home soon." Tears blurred her eyes as the call ended. "No, end." His words were silk, but every syllable dripped with poison. Emily drove home, the road a blur of anger and despair. By evening, Michael returned, suitcase in hand, his smile too bright. He said, "Miss me?" His voice warm, almost playful. Emily stood in the doorway, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. She asked, "How was the reunion?" He stepped forward, leaned to kiss her cheek, but she turned away. His smile faltered. He said, "Come on, Em, don't be like this." Her voice cracked, "I called you. I know where you were." His eyes hardened before softening into practiced tenderness. He whispered, "You're exhausted. You're imagining things." He dropped his suitcase by the stairs, wrapped his arms around her stiff frame. She froze, torn between love and rage. She whispered, "If you're lying, I'll find out." His jaw tightened, but he forced a smile. He said, "There's nothing to find." The next morning, Emily sat with Rachel, her closest friend, at a cafe. The smell of coffee and fresh bread filled the air. Rachel leaned closer, concern etched across her face. Rachel said, "You don't look okay. What's going on?" Emily whispered, "I think Michael's lying to me. About everything." Rachel's eyes widened. "What makes you think that?" Emily told her about the coal, the hotel charge, his car in the lot. Rachel shook her head slowly, anger sparking. She said, "That doesn't sound like paranoia, Em. That sounds like proof." Emily bit her lip, torn. "But he makes me feel crazy for doubting him." Rachel reached across the table, taking her hand. She said softly, "That's called gaslighting. He's making you doubt what you know is real." Tears filled Emily's eyes as she whispered, "Then, I'm not crazy." Rachel squeezed her hand tighter. That evening, Michael cooked dinner, the smell of garlic and pasta filling the kitchen. He moved with practiced ease, smiling as if nothing were wrong. He said, "See, you worry too much. Everything's fine." Emily sat at the table, arms crossed, watching him carefully. She asked, "Who called me last night?" His hands froze on the cutting board before he quickly resumed chopping. He forced a chuckle. "What are you talking about?" Her eyes narrowed. "A woman called. She said you weren't at the reunion." His smile stiffened, but he shrugged. "Prank call. People are weird." Emily whispered, "It didn't sound like a prank." Michael slammed the knife down harder than necessary. His voice rose, "Emily, enough. Stop inventing stories." Her chest tightened, but she stayed silent. His charm had cracked, and anger bled through. Late that night, Emily lay awake, staring at the ceiling, while Michael slept beside her. His breathing steady, calm, like a man with no secrets. She turned her head, watching his face lit faintly by moonlight. He looked so peaceful, so ordinary. She whispered to herself, "How can someone look like this and still lie so deeply?" Her hand hovered near his phone on the nightstand, her pulse quickening. She imagined unlocking it, seeing the truth laid bare. But fear of what she'd find froze her hand. She whispered, "Tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll know." Closing her eyes, she felt trapped between two worlds. The love she built with him and the lies that now poisoned it. Emily's hands shook as she pulled into the cafe parking lot. She needed air, needed distance from Michael's smothering lies. As she stepped out, her heart froze. Across the street, Michael stood laughing with a woman and a small child. His arm rested casually on the woman's shoulder, while the little boy tugged at his hand. Emily whispered, "No." She ducked behind a parked car, pulse racing, chest tight. Her world tilted violently. The woman's head leaned against Michael's shoulder, her smile intimate, familiar. The child looked up at him with innocent eyes, calling him, "Daddy." Emily's breath hitched, a silent scream trapped in her throat. Her fingers dug into the cold metal of the car as she whispered, "He has another life." The truth hit like a blade. This wasn't just an affair. This was a family. Emily staggered back to her car, slamming the door shut, her chest heaving. Her phone slipped from her hand onto the seat. She whispered, "How could you?" She gripped the steering wheel until her knuckles whitened, tears spilling uncontrollably. Her mind flashed to every lie, every embrace, every vow. She muttered, "All of it. Fake." She dialed Rachel with trembling fingers. Rachel answered quickly, "Emily, what's wrong?" Emily's voice broke. "I just saw him. With her. With a child." Silence filled the line, heavy and suffocating. Rachel whispered, "Oh my God. Em, you need to get out of there." Emily stared at the family across the street, her body frozen. She whispered, "He's their father." Emily couldn't leave. She watched as Michael kissed the woman's forehead and lifted the little boy into his arms. The sight shattered her. She whispered, "He belongs to them." Her tears blurred the scene, but she couldn't look away. The woman laughed, leaning into Michael's chest, and the boy giggled, resting his head on Michael's shoulder. The tenderness was undeniable. Emily felt her heart collapse under the weight of betrayal. She remembered his words before leaving. "Just a weekend with the guys." Lies every single word. She whispered bitterly, "You monster." Her hand hovered over the car door handle, torn between storming out and hiding forever. Fear tangled with fury in her veins. Emily finally tore her gaze away, slumping against the steering wheel. Her phone buzzed. Another message from Michael. "Miss you. Be home soon." Her stomach twisted in disgust. She whispered, "You liar." The audacity burned her chest. He was texting her while holding another woman in his arms. Rage flared hot, overtaking grief. She typed furiously, but her fingers froze over the screen. What would she say? Confront him now? Or gather proof he couldn't deny? She closed her eyes, steadying her breath, hearing Rachel's voice echo, "Don't go in blind, get evidence." She whispered to herself, "Evidence." She raised her phone, snapped a photo of them across the street, hands trembling. The click of the camera felt like betrayal captured in pixels. Emily drove home in silence, her body numb, hands stiff on the wheel. The photo sat in her phone like a ticking bomb. Each mile felt heavier than the last. She whispered, "It's real. It's all real." Entering the house, she collapsed onto the couch, phone clutched in her fist. Memories of Michael's smile, his vows, his promises swirled in her head, poisoned now with truth. She pressed the phone to her chest and whispered, "You built 2 lives, Michael, and you left me drowning in one of them." Rage and heartbreak warred inside her. She stared at the ceiling, eyes hollow, whispering, "This isn't over. I'll make you tell me everything." Emily waited until Michael returned home late Sunday night. The suitcase hit the floor with a dull thud. He smiled, stepping toward her. He said, "I missed you." She held her phone up, screen glowing with the photo she had taken. Michael's face drained of color. She whispered, "Who is she? Who is the child?" His lips parted, but no words came. He stammered, "It's not what you think." Rage shook her chest. She shouted, "Don't lie to me again." The silence between them was deafening. Michael's mask cracked as he sank onto the couch, hands over his face. He whispered, "I didn't want you to find out like this." Emily's body trembled as tears blurred her vision. She muttered, "You built another life." Michael buried his face in his hands, his voice muffled. He said, "Her name is Anna. The boy is mine." Emily staggered back as if struck. She whispered, "Yours." The words ripped her in half. Michael looked up, tears brimming. "I didn't mean for this to happen. It was before us." Emily shook her head violently. "Before us? We've been married for 10 years. He tried to reach for her hand, but she pulled away, disgusted. She spat. "You lied every day. You kissed me knowing you had them." His face crumpled. "I thought I could keep both lives separate." Emily screamed, "You destroyed mine." Her body shook as she backed away, voice cracking. "How many more lies are buried under your smile?" Emily stormed into the kitchen, clutching the counter for support. Michael followed, his voice desperate. He said, "Emily, please listen. I never stopped loving you." She turned, fury blazing in her eyes. She shouted, "Loving me? Love doesn't build secret families." Her hands shook as she grabbed a glass, hurling it into the sink where it shattered loudly. Michael flinched, his face tight with shame. He said, "It wasn't supposed to be like this. I thought I could protect you." She laughed bitterly. "Protect me? You humiliated me." Her voice broke into a whisper. "You made me a fool." Michael stepped closer, voice cracking. "I'm sorry." She spat back. Sorry doesn't erase her. Or him. The silence that followed was heavier than stone. The doorbell rang, sharp and sudden. Emily froze, eyes darting to Michael. He whispered, "Don't answer." But she marched to the door, fury burning. She yanked it open, and there stood Anna, holding the child's hand. Anna's eyes flashed with quiet defiance as she said, "We need to talk." Michael's face drained completely, fear gripping him. Emily stared at Anna, then at the boy, his innocent eyes reflecting confusion. She whispered, "This is him." Anna nodded slowly, voice steady, "He's mine too." Emily's knees nearly buckled. The truth stood in her doorway, undeniable, uninvited, and devastating. Michael muttered, "Anna, please not here." But it was too late. The air in the room thickened as Anna stepped inside, the boy clinging to her hand. Michael whispered harshly, "You shouldn't have come." Anna shot him a cold glare. She said, "I'm done being hidden." Emily's eyes filled with tears as she looked at the boy. His smile mirrored Michael's. Her chest cracked open with grief. She whispered, "You lied to both of us." Anna's voice softened. "He promised me he'd leave you." Emily's stomach twisted. She turned to Michael, fury blazing. "So, I was the disposable one." He shook his head frantically. "No, I love you both." Emily shouted, "You don't love either of us. You love your lies." Silence crashed down, heavy and final. The truth was no longer a shadow. It was flesh and blood standing in her living room. Moo. The living room trembled with silence before it erupted. Emily stood in the center, chest heaving, eyes wild. She shouted, "Tell me the truth, Michael." Michael raised his hands pleading, "Please, Em, calm down. I didn't want this to happen." Anna tightened her grip on the boy's hand, her jaw clenched. She said coldly, "You told me you'd leave her." Emily's heart cracked, her voice raw. "You promised her that." Michael's voice broke. "I was trying to protect you both." Emily screamed, "You protected nothing. You destroyed everything." The boy whimpered, burying his face in Anna's side. Anna glared at Michael. "He deserves to know who you really are." Emily's rage burned, but her tears betrayed her. She whispered, "How could you look me in the eyes every day and lie?" Michael's mask shattered as his voice rose, anger overtaking guilt. He shouted, "I gave you both everything I could." Emily's fists shook as she snapped, "You gave us nothing but lies." Anna's eyes narrowed, voice sharp, "You lied to me too, Michael. You said she was cold, distant. You painted yourself as a victim." Emily turned to Anna, her voice trembling. "And you believed him? You built a life on my broken vows." Anna's face softened, guilt flickering in her eyes. "I believed what I wanted to believe." Michael slammed his fist on the table, voice cracking. "I was drowning, okay? I needed both of you." Emily's voice turned to steel. "No, you just needed to feed your ego." Rachel burst through the front door, having rushed after Emily's frantic call earlier. She froze at the sight of Michael, Anna, and the child together. She whispered, "Oh my God, it's true." Emily turned to her, broken and raw. "You see it, don't you? I'm not crazy." Rachel's face hardened with fury. She said to Michael, "You're a coward. You let her believe she was losing her mind." Michael's face flushed, snapping, "Stay out of this." Rachel stepped closer, her voice shaking with anger. "No, I won't. She's my best friend and you treated her like dirt." Emily clutched Rachel's hand, her tears spilling freely. She whispered, "I needed someone to say that." Michael's voice broke into a desperate plea. I love both of you. Can't you see that? Emily's laugh was bitter, cutting. That's not love, Michael. That's greed. Anna's face twisted with pain as she muttered, You told me she was nothing to you. Emily gasped, voice cracking, Nothing? 10 years of marriage and I'm nothing? Michael's shoulders slumped, tears sliding down his cheeks. He whispered, I never wanted to hurt either of you. Rachel barked, But you did. You shattered her. And him. She nodded toward the child trembling at Anna's side. Emily's fury softened into grief as her eyes landed on the boy. She whispered, He didn't ask for this. The room exploded into chaos, voices overlapping, rage colliding with despair. Emily shouted, You ruined us. Anna snapped, You lied to me. Michael cried, I didn't want to lose either of you. Rachel's voice cut through, sharp and commanding. Enough. The silence that followed was deafening. Emily's chest heaved as she whispered, I can't do this anymore. She grabbed her wedding ring, yanked it off, and hurled it across the room. It clattered against the floor, spinning before stopping near Michael's feet. His face crumpled as he whispered, Emily, please. She turned, her eyes hollow but resolute. You don't get to beg anymore. You lost me. The house felt like a battlefield after the storm. Anna gathered the boy, her voice quiet but firm. She said, We're leaving. Michael reached toward her, panic on his face. Don't go, please. Anna pulled the child close, her expression hard. She whispered, You made this mess. You live with it. Emily stood frozen, her chest hollow, watching the family walk past her and out the door. The boy glanced back at Michael once, confusion in his eyes, before Anna led him away. The slam of the door echoed like final judgment. Michael fell to his knees, burying his face in his hands. Emily whispered, That's who you really are. A man who lost everything. Silence filled the room after they left. Michael lifted his head, eyes red, voice breaking. Emily, please. Don't leave me too. Emily looked at him, her tears drying into steel resolve. She whispered, You already left me years ago. He crawled closer, grabbing her wrist, desperate. We can fix this. I'll end it with her. I'll choose you. She yanked her hand free, glaring at him. You don't get to choose me after destroying me. His lips trembled, his body shaking. I love you, he whispered. Emily's voice cut sharp. No. You loved lying. Emily turned away from him, walking toward the staircase. Her hand brushed the wedding photo on the wall. She stared at it one last time, two smiling faces frozen in innocence, promises that now felt like ash. She whispered, That woman doesn't exist anymore. Michael rose to his feet, voice trembling, Don't give up on us. Emily didn't turn back. Her voice carried across the room like a final sentence, There is no us. The photo frame slipped from her hands and crashed onto the floor, the glass shattering into shards that glittered in the lamplight. Rachel returned to find Emily standing at the open doorway, suitcase in hand. Rachel whispered, You're leaving. Emily nodded, her face pale but determined. I can't breathe here anymore. Rachel's eyes softened with sadness. Do you know where you'll go? Emily whispered, Anywhere but here. Michael staggered forward, voice raw. Please don't. Emily didn't look at him. She turned to Rachel and said, Thank you for believing me when he wouldn't. Rachel hugged her tightly, whispering, You're stronger than you think. Emily pulled away, her eyes fixed on the night outside. Emily stepped outside, the night air cold against her skin. She paused at the edge of the driveway, her heart pounding, her breath unsteady. Michael's voice echoed faintly from inside, calling her name. She didn't turn back. She whispered to herself, This is the last lie I'll ever live in. A single tear traced down her cheek as she tightened her grip on the suitcase handle. The house behind her stood like a graveyard of promises, dark and hollow. She walked into the night, her footsteps steady, her resolve unshakable. The door slammed shut behind her, the sound final, like a coffin closing.